Hello, our guest is A.Kubilius, former Prime Minister in Lithuania, member to European Parliament, and President of the Euronest, which is a parliamentary assembly of Eastern countries. Thank you for being with us.
Patrick, pleasure since you are Vice President of Euronest, so we can talk, quite.
It's always pleasure for me. You have big experience about Eastern partnership, and maybe we can start in this area. Lots of experts say that Russia can invade Ukraine. Do you think this is a real scenario, or this is only threat?
Well, of course, this is, first of all, threat, and targeted not only towards Ukraine, but of course targeted towards us, towards Western countries, trying to see if we shall succumb to that threat. And this is where really Putin is trying to achieve its own goals. First of all, really, to divide the West, to show that the West is, weak, and that, the West is continuing with what we can call appeasement of Putin policy. So that is his goal. And of course, it would be very bad if the West really will succumb to those threats and we shall sacrifice the geopolitical future of Ukraine or Georgia. Because what Putin is demanding really is to sacrifice their future. Despite the fact that by himself, he started the war against Georgia in 2008, against Ukraine in 2014. Now he's, shouting about the danger of, Ukraine and Georgia, trying to be more strong in defense of their territories. It's something, unbelievable, but that is what he's trying to do.
Yeah, it's true. So, do you think that his goal, strategic goal, is restore a Soviet Union, not with maybe geographic borders, but with powerful influence?
Well, I think that first of all, he is very much afraid that Ukraine can become, especially Ukraine, can become a successful country, which can be created only if the West really will open the doors for Ukraine integration into the West, both EU and NATO. Why Ukrainian success is so dangerous for Kremlin? Because, that success really brings an inspiration to ordinary people who are living around. First of all, Ukrainian people inspired Belarus. The revolution in Belarus really last year was a very big threat to Kremlin, regime. And that is why Kremlin started to be so aggressive against, future development, future integration of Ukraine and Georgia, because they see very clearly this logic. That if those countries are becoming successful, then that is becoming inspiration for Russian people, and that is a danger for Kremlin regime.
Wow, it's true. So, what, in your opinion, European Union can do more? You said about that we need to be united when it comes to Russia plan, or maybe European Union, in your opinion, can do more.
Well, first of all, European Union needs to understand that really it has a strategic responsibility for its own neighborhood, really. And Europe needs to understand that, it can export stability into that region, but that comes exactly with integration policy, more ambitious integration policy. But if EU fails with that, export of stability, then EU needs to understand that it will bring instability from that region. So exactly now, when we are talking, in a few days, there will be some partnership summit. And I think that we, as Euronest, a week ago, we approved very special message or resolution to Eastern Partnership Summit, where we are proposing what kind of integration policy really can be realistically approved and implemented during the next several years. If, full membership for time being, because of difficulties inside of EU, because of some countries like France, for example, they are demanding, first of all, to make reforms inside of EU, to make more effective decision-making, before new members will be accepted. Then our proposals to concentrate on economical integration of such countries like Ukraine, Georgia, Moldova into single market really can be this breakthrough, showing that really those countries can approach much more closer towards EU, getting really all the benefits from integration into single market, and for that integration they need to approve something like 70% of acquis communautaire. That will take maybe 5 or 6 years, if to start now. And after that, in the next period, they can look into possibility really to become full members of EU. But now it's very important for the West, for EU, to show to those countries and to Kremlin also, in a very clear way, that EU is taking strategic responsibility on the future of this region, and is opening the doors for their integration with much more ambitious agenda.
That could be a very big step to change situation in this area. Let's change the topic because we don't have much time. I would like to talk with you about our borders, because Lithuania and Poland are in the I can called hybrid threat from Belarus, and how Lithuania handled this problem?
Well, we are handling perhaps in a very similar way, except that the numbers of those migrants who are trying to, or whom Lukashenko is trying to push through Lithuanian border, is a little bit less than on Polish border. But we are building fence in a very similar way like Poland is doing, because really till now that border was not defended, with any kind of real protection infrastructure, and we are using also this, what we call procedure of return, or somebody is calling pushback. We are not allowing those illegal migrants, to come into our territory. We are defending, not only Lithuanian territory, but we are defending territory of EU. That is our obligation, and we are fulfilling that obligation, because we see very big danger if we shall, succumb to some demands, to allow some people to come in, and so on and so on. Then we can face the problems with smuggling of migrants on a much larger scale. And I think that Putin is really watching how things are developing. He is really supporting Lukashenko. And if suddenly it will appear that our borders is quite easy to be crossed by all those smuggling of migrants, then when Putin will start to bring and to use his resources to bring migrants to our borders, then really we shall face much bigger problems. With not just thousands of migrants, but with tens of thousands or 100,000.
So he is testing.
Yeah, absolutely.
But lots of people saying that there is lots of issue which European Union creating, not stopping the Nord Stream 1 and Nord Stream 2, which equip Putin with a big weapon, especially when we talk about Ukraine or this eastern area. What do you think about this? Would maybe European Union could do more on this matter?
Well, first of all, of course, from the very beginning, we were opposing Nord Stream 2. I remember even my first, conversations back in 2017, 2018 in Washington, D.C. At that time in Washington, still they were not looking so careful, deeply into Nord Stream 2, and we, in some way, we waked up them. We said, look, what is going on can be really very big danger, not only for Ukraine but for the whole Europe. And then Americans started to look into possibility to bring, sanctions. Now, of course, there are limited instruments which EU can use, in order to stop, this Nord Stream 2, because this is, German-Russian, agreement. Of course, we need to take lessons that, it was a big mistake to leave such kind of, geopolitical project which touches all European continent on the level of national governments. So that's a big mistake. So really, I would, now I know that Poland also is participating in this certification process of Nord Stream 2. German...
No, we are not. We are opposing now.
No, I know, but you were invited to that's good, you know, that you were invited to be part of this certification, you know, to give license or not, you know. So we trust that you will be very tough on.
Yeah. However, we estimate this project the same, and it's not. It's changing nothing.
Yeah.
I can say.
So what I see, and what perhaps we shall have possibility, and at least I will try to bring into our agenda, you know, on Euronest. We need to take care about alternative supplies to Ukraine as quickly as possible, you know. And there is not a big amount of EU funds which are needed in order really to, I don't know which kind of infrastructure is needed, but really to connect, you know, Ukraine with Poland and to connect Ukraine with Slovakia, to have some kind of, you know, reverse possibility of reverse flows. Maybe pipelines are here, but reverse flows are, they need some kind of, you know, equipment.
It's a good idea, but of course, the source of the gas still will be Russia, even if we the Russia provided to Germany.
I agree. I agree, and that's again, you know, it's it's maybe we are moving into much more complicated area, but what I saw, you know, what EU plans on Green Deal, you know, can bring. You know, from this geopolitical point of view, if really EU will manage to implement Green Deal as it is now planned, with, you know, cuts in oil and gas imports, that can have major geopolitical impact on Russia. But it will take time, of course. After 2035, at least now calculations are that, you know, imports of Russian gas will be cut by 75%. And sometimes I see that Putin is becoming, because of that, more and more nervous. Because if that will go forward, and if Europe will manage to, you know, it will not be easy. It's European industries which are suffering also and so on. But if Europe will manage to do that, that can change, you know, all Russian, you know, both economical structure and political structure.
I can agree. However, with Green Deal, it's more complicated. But we don't have much time. And maybe last question, if I may, history, because I can call we were imperium together, Poland and Lithuania, a place where we create more freedom than in the other countries.
Again, very good topic, but, you know, for quite a long period of time. For example, I created back when I was member of our, you know, Lithuanian parliament, I created a special informal group, Jakie, you know, to celebrate the Constitution of 3rd of May, you know. Really trying to show that our history is full of, you know, very bright moments. Yeah, we had tragedies, common tragedies like division and so on, but it's full of very bright moments.
Yeah, Constitution, first Constitution in Europe.
First Constitution. You know, but again, that is what demands also change in Lithuanian understanding of the history. All of us, we grew up during Soviet time, you know, our parents and grandparents, they were living in between of the wars, you know. Vilnius was, you know, as we call, occupied by you know, Zhiligovsky, by Pilsudski at that time. So there are still some kind of, you know, pains in sentiments, you know, from that point of view. But I think that we are, you know, more and more starting to understand the whole history, where I'm always saying that, look, our history is not only a history of Lithuanians who were living on Lithuanian, you know, territory. It's also the history of Polish people who were living, of Jews who were living, and that is what makes our history much richer. You know, if we are targeting only Lithuanian history, then we are pushing ourselves to the history of our villages, because in the cities, you know, because of historical development, people were speaking either Polish language or Jewish language, you know. So we should not abandon our history of our cities. My very simple point.
No, I understand. So, It's a very interesting topic. Maybe for the next talk. Thank you very much, Andrius. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thanks a lot, Patrick. Thanks a lot. Yeah, pleasure.